It's fantastic.
I'm guilty. If I drive anywhere, I gotta I eat so bad and just drink soda like.
Well, how do you keep your girlish figure?
I ride mountain bikes so I can eat pizza and cheeseburgers.
That's your balance.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
People think I'm joking when I say that. I'm like, no.
Do you consciously, work out and eat healthy, or this
I
comes
try.
natural to you?
I do try.
Oh,
yeah.
Because
But if you throw exercise in, you can consciously do it and not feel bad. Oh, and feel better and
Totally.
Is your job strenuous or physical?
Just walking. I stand all day, but running machines and stuff.
Because are you 40?
A what?
Are you 40? How old are you?
35.
35. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, the end is coming, my friend.
Yeah, right.
I'll be chasing sugar.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, God,
crashing.
fucking JJ, look at how good he looks at 40. He's only 35. All right. Okay, I'm not so upset.
Yeah, write that one down.
I'm not so upset.
The Bible of Croc.
Exactly. This is a man of wisdom.
Bible?
Yeah.
Well,
are we
if you
ready?
buried that thing and somebody found it,
I have many of these. This is a
100
new
years
one,
later,
and I'm
you'd be
getting
like,
better.
What the fuck?
I'm getting better of writing more legibly.
No one can read.
I want you to know that since I met you guys,
there's a lot of smart shit in
and
there.
I
but
keep-
someone could read it.
I keep telling you that since I've met you, you guys have sparked me to be a better person in many avenues of my life. True story, and I'm still on this journey. Writing better, getting my vocabulary, my diction better is really something. Being more assertive, being a better boss. These are things I'm always trying to improve.
Sure.
True story.
That. You bring things to the table as
Because
well.
I respect what you guys are doing, what we got.
I keep thinking about how to interact with my family more because of you.
Okay,
How the
I
fuck
appreciate that.
how do I channel the inner Proc to get to make the interaction with my family on Thanksgiving so much more fun?
You know what I'm doing real quick? We're bringing
Make
this.
bets on something.
I'm bringing this game horse race.
Oh, that's a great game.
You know that game?
Yes,
With
I
the
do.
cards?
We
That's a
play it.
great game. I'll show you how to play it right after this.
Oh man, that was fun.
And
Do you play
it's
for
a great
quarters?
icebreaker.
Stout had us all play it at Cameron Smith's
What is it?
house.
Is it just normal cards and you?
And you lay down 4 aces, and each ace is a horse, right, or a suit, and then you flip a card, and that suit, the card moves forward 1. So these 4 are racing to the end, right? If you start along this table and you set up, let's say 20 lanes, spade, clubs, heart, diamond, right? And so spade, club, and and all the kids and grandma have $1 or a quarter in the game to see their horse.
Is it one person rolling the
Yeah.
You pick.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
fuck it, I'm dying.
There's like one host, right?
Yeah, okay.
Right? Are
Is
you
there
ready?
one thing where it goes back? There's a
And then every lane, so a card is a lane. Once all 4 horses pass that lane, you flip it over. That suit moves back 1 spot.
I'm not following that one, but
Don't
I'm
worry
sure
about that.
I'm sure it'll make
Irrelevant.
sense.
Yeah. So what makes this game so great, and I like the way Stout did this. He didn't say it. He didn't say, "All right, guys, we're gonna play this game," and it goes like this. You just
did.
did
just
it.
said,
And then
everybody
you
get
see
in
it
here.
once,
Yeah.
And you're like, I want in on
Who's
this.
got $1?
Yeah,
And
luckily.
it was just like, and then we just started, and then everyone's just like, then it was just like doing, start whipping out 5s, 10s, 20s, and started like throwing down. And by the end, it was like a fever pitch. People are jumping around and like yelling.
You know what's going to end up happening? You can see it already. Is that my brother-in-law Topher, has an addictive personality, and I believe he's focused on gambling currently, would go super deep. Sister, her husband, her wife, super pissed. Run upstairs, be quiet, not say a word.
You want me to come over and host this event?
Me and Topher end up getting fucked up in the corner.
We're a little fast. And I'll talk all old timey with a mustache.
I would love nothing more, to be honest with you. I need help with my
Where's Thanksgiving?
at my sister's house in Round Lake.
Okay.
You'd be great at that. It's like when we went to the sprint car race.
I was betting on the sprint cars.
That was
Yes.
hilarious.
I think
Is that the Cornfest one?
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
great.
like probably like top 5 races I've ever been to, just because we turned it into such a clown show.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
And we took over the pits.
And that's when you
They're just
Chatty
looking
Matty,
at
right?
us.
That's when I met Chatty Matty for the first time. Let me unpack that story just real quick, and then we're going to start our podcast. But I think that every experience needs a speech or a group or a photo.
Totally.
And a photo. So something communal and a photo to tie it together. So your Thanksgiving, right? You need some kind of like, hey, everybody, I want to thank everybody for coming. And then a photo at the end. But this, real quick, back to this race, Corn Fest, which was a pretty large race. It's hallmarked by these giant corn machines.
So near Madison, right?
Yep. And these corn comes out of this machine, steamed corn, and you like grab it. I think you get a wristband, and it's all you can carry.
Yeah, all you can carry corn.
Anyway, this was the day after the Azzy takeover of Astalon, and this was a great day for myself because it was Loyal's last race before he went to college, and he had won it as a pro, and it really meant something special. I wrote about that in this blog, so I was really feeling this positive energy of bringing our crew from Astalon right across the freeway, 20
Pretty
miles,
much,
to this other racetrack, and we were clapping, and then the people from Alabama joined us, and we had this energy, this like, hey, we have a positive energy.
It's like 30 deep.
Yeah, like 30 deep. And I went to go get corn for everybody, and they had sold out, but I jumped into the dumpster with someone holding my ankles, and I was able to grab all this corn, and I was throwing it into the stands, like, look, like I was a t-shirt guy. This got this
fucking dumpster corn.
Yeah, this dumpster. The kids were eating it. But JJ had bet on a rider, and we've done this. You have a horse in the game, it's just like the game we just talked about. And then this becomes a natural transition. You're 83, you're 19, 27, and then you become I got you, Warren, right? As you and I are racing, we're not really racing, we're virtually racing.
Yeah, I follow.
Okay, and you had won with this like this magical ending.
Yeah, it was like the dude came from dead last and won, and Brock's like, of course. So I won the pot. I don't know how much it was.
It's like $60.
Yeah, but I just kept telling everyone it was Martinish's money. Remember that? I was like, I got Martinish's money.
Just making them mad.
Yeah,
we went into the pits and we met this driver, and we were like, yeah!
Like, it made his night.
Like, we were just so excited. We were just so jubilant. And then there's a picture of us with the driver, and we're screaming with excitement.
And he's just like, what's happening?
And then some kid rolls by in like a BMX bike. I'm like, do a wheelie. And he rips a wheelie, and I throw $20 at him. I'm like, it's Martin's money. I don't care. Like, made the kid's night.
It was magic.
I'm
glad we got to talk about that. But I saw Chatty Matty, and I'd seen her online, and I saw her drive, like getting into a golf cart. And the scene of the way I remember it was like Elvis exiting, getting pushed into a cab and speeding up. And that's how I saw Chatty, and the lighting and the way she was like fluffing her curly hair and driving away in this golf cart and the crowd around her. I was like, she's a superstar. And I called her the next day.
Got to get her on the team.
Got to get her on the team, yep, if she's listening.
Yeah. When's she going to be on the podcast?
Oh. Well, that would be when we have a 2-hour podcast. It's a 2-hour long. But that'd be a good idea. Yeah, she talks a lot.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
But she's got no fear. And we'll talk about Chatty when the time comes. Let's stay with this because we only have a couple minutes before your car gets stolen. Okay, so let's get going.
I brought that lunch pail in.
It's not a Kia.
Before we start, no, JJ, we well, first off, we have an official introduction, which is this is the Mama Tried Flat Out Friday podcast.
Yay!
Issue number 21.
21. All right.
I got to knock down a new number. The other ones are bonuses.
Okay. And we'd like to start with a little bit of housekeeping, just like where we are with Flat Out Friday Mama Tried. I don't think a date is necessarily important, what day it is right now, but where we are along our process for our February event. I would like to update people, and that is we just had a rider sign up.
We finally announced Flat Out Friday.
We announced Flat Out Friday.
Got the dates all sorted out and good to go. We tickets are on sale. We announced you can race.
JJ, I didn't see your name in the lineup.
I think we'll circle back to that. JJ's got a pretty good reason why he can't race in February. So.
And so we sign up is still open. There's still a couple. We have like really 2-3 spots open in most classes. It's easier just to keep it open than for me to close it, than to put your name in manually.
Right.
Because data is very difficult now
To manage.
The data must be. It's so much easier if the rider puts the data in themselves as opposed to me going into the back door of the system. So I'm leaving it open. We just announced just moments ago we have a Black Friday sale.
Well, we could say that this is the week of Thanksgiving, just to give some chronological context.
This is the weeks of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So it was just announced.
Mm-hmm.
Rider sign-up was just announced. Black Friday sale is coming up for tickets.
Yeah, and our Black Friday sale is a week long, which is great.
It's pretty great. Wait, also, just what other what classes do we have spots left in? For those keeping score at home.
We have like 2 or 3 spots for the kids classes for the 50, for the 65. And that's really it. I mean, really, we got 2 or 3 electric bikes, 2 or 3 brakeless. I want to close Open Am any second now. I want to close hooligans. We have over 50 hooligan bikes. We have over 60 boonie bikes.
Wow.
Awesome. Told you it's a premier class.
How many are you reigning? Like, has anybody beat you?
Dave's beat me.
Has he? So you and Dave. Who else has won boonie bike?
Man,
For Milwaukee races.
maybe Robbie Peterson. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I think it's been Dave and I trading off.
I think the sport has evolved.
Oh yeah.
Right? Since just you take a few months off, or that you have, it's coming.
It's coming.
If not surpassed you. Have you heard about these stout bikes? Have you seen this?
Oh yeah, they're great.
Have you ridden one?
No,
How do you know they're great?
I can just tell.
they are pretty great.
Yeah,
They rip.
it looks a little better than mine. I just eyeballed everything on mine, so it's got to be better than mine.
What Matt Stout would say is that it's not horsepower, it's not anything
Right.
fancy, it's just the ergonomics of the rider is what makes it
The
fast.
geometry of the bike, it just rides really well. It makes everyone like competitive.
I
And,
love
like-
eyeballing shit.
Yeah, like my bike has been the same it's been since the first flat out. I haven't done any different engine.
What do you call that one? It's got a nickname.
The World Dominator.
That's right. That's right.
Well, when they build the Boonie Bike World History Museum.
Next to the
Yeah.
Corvette one in Indiana.
Yeah, there you go.
Inside of it.
Yeah, Ryan Sirocco is there.
Yes.
He'll be the curator.
Yeah, he's up all the
Is
time.
he like
just
the
looking in the window for customers?
Right.
who's the skateboarder of like if you equate it to skateboarding in California with like Jay
Jay Adams.
Jay Adams
Okay.
of the Boonie Bike class?
Yeah. That's JJ? Or the,
No, he's Golden Boy Ric Flair. Like who are the Dogtown Z Boy kids, the fucking surfer boys? That's JJ.
Jay Adams.
Jay Adams was the tattooed
Yeah.
like fuck skateboarding, fuck you.
but I thought what you were saying though is, who's the corresponding boonie bike? Jay Adams. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, isn't that? Wouldn't you put that in as Ryan Sirocco?
Oh yeah.
You know, a little bit of
100% boonie biker
Mhm.
on his neck tattooed. 100% skateboarder.
Yeah, it's just boonie bike on
100% across his knuckles.
yeah, and then JJ's the
he's
Southern
great.
California kid, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's rooting for him, and then Jay Adams or Ryan is like, fuck that guy.
I like Ryan.
Yeah, he's a good egg.
Well, let's properly introduce JJ Flairty, ladies and
Hi,
gentlemen.
JJ.
JJ Flairty,
Welcome.
thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So JJ, we what we've done, our formula that we traditionally use here is, a little bit of who you are, but then I think what makes this podcast interesting is we unpack how you got there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what are you doing here?
Well, my name's JJ, everyone. What is it? What a great looking crowd we have here.
All right.
I'm not sure. Why am I here?
Well, you started racing. Were you at the first Flat Out Friday?
No.
Where did you come
I did.
from?
Yeah.
All right. Well, how I got involved with technically you guys was I showed my panhead at the. Is it the third one? The first one where you guys were in the second story. Of
Yeah, that would have been one,
That's
two. That would have been third year.
Third.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the third one, I think that was the first Flat Out Friday.
And you bought parts off of me at the
Yeah.
house. I remember.
Yep. I
Who
bought
the
a
fuck's
hub
this
off you.
guy buying this weird shit for me?
Yep. Yep. I met you at your house. Bought
Yeah.
Hallcraft hub from you.
Uh huh.
And because that was when I was building that bike. So then I ended up making those hubs.
That was for Born Free.
Yeah, that was the People's Champ thing. And then I went. So at that time, I built that bike for Born Free. I go out there, and as I'm building that bike, the hooligan stuff started taking off on the West Coast. Like I'm watching it, I'm like, I grew up riding, motocross and stuff. My brother was big into motocross. He was like really good, but I always rode BMX. And when my brother gave up racing motocross, he got hurt, broke his hand, had to get pins in it and stuff. And he rode a little bit after that, but I'm like, well, screw motocross. Like, let's just get a couple vintage dirt track bikes and go dirt track, and let's give that a shot. I'm like, I got a van. Like, life's good, I got a van and put bikes in there. Let's go hit these dirt tracks. And he's like, nah, I'm done. And he's, typical motocross dude, like, what?
I don't know what you mean.
Why am I going to go circle jerk? I ain't going to do none of that, like typical. Like, me and Dave always talk about that. Motocrossers only motocross. Like 98% of them, moto only. Like, why would I go trail riding and go to the motocross track? Like that kind of, that's how my brother really is. And so I get into building the chopper for that thing. And
have you done that before? Like, do you have any history of custom motorcycle work?
Well, I grew up around. My dad was built hot rods and stuff when I was growing up, and then
how old were you, by the way?
When I did
the purple panhead?
That was 2014. So
10 years ago.
Yeah, about 10 years ago.
So 24.
Yeah, 20.
Nice
yeah,
job.
about 24. And but I was always into fabricating, and like my line of work and stuff was into that, and like I took all the shop classes in school for welding so I could figure out how to do all that stuff. And I knew that my line of work would eventually get into something, metal fabrication of some sort. But up until then, a lot of the BMX dudes were getting to that age where they're getting into, either hot rods, like little Chris, he was into hot rods and stuff. And Cody Davidson, another BMX, I knew those dudes forever. And then they had the Valley going. But I was into dirt bikes my whole life, so it's hard to have a sweet street bike and have a sweet dirt bike when you're 20-some years old because it's really expensive.
Yeah.
So it just took me a while to get into that avenue of building something to have the funds to build a bike or a car or something cool like that, because you'd either probably gonna sell the dirt bike or do whatever. And,
yeah, because you're like little Chris. You're not gonna build a bike like I build. You're going all the way.
Yeah.
You're nerding out and fucking everything's custom.
They call it, it's like a perfectionist thing. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
For real. It's you can't just, I look at a Star Hub and I'm like, they're so off. There's just, both sides are different. And that stuff bothers me.
It makes
it's like I just have to make it all.
Because I could give a fuck. I think they're beautiful,
Yeah.
but you not liking
But
them
I
is
like
rad.
all that stuff, like the stuff that you build and everything. I like all that stuff. But to me to go and just do it is
You want to improve upon
yeah,
it.
it's like me and little Chris had that same, he's nerding out on the science, or the side of it has to be an exact replica. And I'm like when he built that Star Hub and Tavis helped him with it, and then I drilled the holes for it all. I'm like, well, they're close to a 15-degree angle. It's let's just make it a 15-degree angle. He's like, yeah, but the one side's 17 degrees. And I'm like, no one's going to notice. Let's just make it better. And so he nerds out in almost a different way than me.
He can't turn it off either.
Yeah, he can't
and that's
either.
great. That's how the world works.
Yeah, so.
Do you customize other shit besides motorcycle stuff, like kitchen utensils?
Yeah,
Oh.
kitchen poles. You got custom.
Dude.
Or your dress.
Speaking of little Chris, I go there to get my haircut, and he made the shower curtain hanger for his shower because couldn't buy one. So, like, nice enough one, but
Wait,
stainless.
Little
had
Chris
solvent
cuts your
pouches.
hair? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
Sarah does.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Same issue. Blessing and a curse.
Let me go back to you said the Born Free bike. So how
Yeah.
how could you? Because if I'm listening to your timeline, there's some gaps in there. How did a kid 25 years old buy some parts off of Warren for a Born Free bike? I don't understand how you would have been an invited builder or.
So, yeah, at that time, I was like, well, I want to build panhead. I love panheads. I was into like Harleys. I mean, it's hard to not be into Harleys growing up near Milwaukee, you know. And I'd go to the car shows, and there'd be custom bikes at the car shows and stuff like that. And then growing up riding BMX and being in the motorcycle like space, the motocross stuff, I knew and then like biker build off stuff, you know, all those TV shows were so huge in like the early 2000s. And then my friend Chris Trapp, who I rode BMX in his backyard, his buddies were building choppers, and those are old BMX dudes. So it was like, and then Trapp's building choppers.
So you're, you're a little Grom.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So we're going to his buddy's shop to look at the choppers they're building,
Yeah.
and this is like 2002, 2003, probably around there, like, you know, peak biker build up stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
So all that stuff was getting so big on TV. So you watch the Discovery Channel, it'd be like, you know, 10 shows about fabricating or whatever, and welding and
Junkyard
stuff. So,
Wars or
yeah,
that stuff?
dude,
Yeah.
exactly.
Love that show.
that
So
was
did I.
awesome.
Yeah.
And so yeah, then I knew I was going to do that, but once I had enough, like I was establishing, I was done with college. I went to school for metal fabrication and welding and stuff like that, and a little bit of machining. And then once I was like established enough in my line of work, so I was actually making like okay money, I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy panhead. So I bought like a Paco frame, and I wanted Hallcraft wheels. So that's why I ended up with that hub from you.
Yeah.
So I like put a thing on like Instagram, like, hey, you know, anyone got any of these laying around? And Warren's like, I got one, or somebody might have tagged you or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought one from him, and then that was the time when, you know, the dudes had the Valley going on, and
Well, let me start right there. What does that mean, the Valley, for people that don't know, like myself?
Valley was like, there was like dudes my age, like same age, that we all, like I knew everyone in there pretty much, besides like two guys that came from other ways, but they're like skateboard BMX kids who
Yeah, it was a
kinda
community,
grew out of it, you know?
a communal space of folks making the transition from.
Well,
Yeah.
so the Valley was a physical space?
Yeah, they rented a shop. It was like Milwaukee kids that, like, I guess it
Was
like
it down in the Valley here by the
yeah,
skate park?
Yeah, that's why they call
Okay,
it.
okay.
It was right down
19th
there. Yeah.
and what is it? What was the cross street there?
Pierce?
19th
Yeah,
and Pierce,
Pierce,
18th and
yeah.
Pierce.
Yeah, so all those dudes were doing that, and I seen Chris Graves did the People's Champ build the year prior than I did. And it was just happened that the timeline worked out where the People's Champ thing was going on again.
The People's Champ wasn't Born Free. People's
No.
Champ was show class at that time.
Yep.
Explain that to me.
Yeah, so
So anybody can build anything and the people vote on it?
Yes,
Yeah.
and there was like so Born Free was associated with Born Free, and they left a spot open. So if you won People's Champ, you could bring it to the show the next.
Okay, and
the
how many
voting is
people-
on Friday, and
how-
I think the show is on Saturday.
How many bikes are in this People's Champ competition?
I don't know, it was a lot.
It starts out with a shitload, and then
lot.
they narrow it down.
I bet it was close to 100 entries at
Okay.
that time. It was like there was an era there too where it seemed like choppers were peaking again,
yeah,
and so there was a lot of people. And then
but it
just
only narrows down to what 10,
It narrows down to 7.
7.
And you
Yeah.
were in that 7? I
Yeah,
don't know.
so I was in
Okay.
the 7,
All right.
and then I went to California for the 7, and
They do
I
it at
didn't
Cook's
win.
Corners, a bar.
Yeah.
And Show Class was a magazine.
Yeah, and your
big at
bike,
the time.
where is your bike at this time? Like, how did Show Class get to see it?
I submitted.
Okay, so they just see it on photos.
Yeah.
Now the final 7 get to come there and everybody
Yeah.
sees it in person. Okay,
So, but
right.
going back to that thing where I had like the Paco frame and a set of wheels, so that was like my image. I sent like, yeah, this is the bike I'm gonna build, and then I think they cut it down to like 30 or 40 like right away. So then it's like you made the first cut, and then once I made the first cut, I pretty much got rid of everything I had in the picture and just started from scratch.
because what you started
Yeah.
seeing what other people were doing and be like, shit, I gotta step it up.
Yeah, pretty much. I just wanted to.
I felt the pressure.
Yeah, I just wanted to do everything.
Your tick
So-
was activated.
Exactly. Yeah, it was bad. So yeah, and I built that bike, go to Born Free, and like as I'm building this bike, I'm seeing that the hooligan stuff is just like, you know, getting crazy, and like, you know, Mark Atkins and Rusty Butcher, he was doing, that was like his like beginning when he was getting big on Instagram and, you know, jumping the Sportsters and stuff like that. So when I went to Born Free, he was, you know, they had a booth there, and that was like early, and I checked all that out, and I'm like, oh man, like I could do this, like I could probably jump a Sportster, you know, whatever. But I was more fascinated by the dirt track bikes, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've always been fascinated by the dirt track bikes. I think they just look the coolest. Like the coolest motorcycles are, to me, the dirt track bikes. And yeah, I'm not like that old, but I'm like the guy that's like, bring the framers back. Like that's me, because
Yeah, watching Mishler run that framer out at Plymouth.
yeah, like
Fuck
how
yeah.
good was that?
So
You know,
rad.
like
Wow.
With Team
I don't-
Honda in his fucking
I
in
know.
his wake.
Yeah, right. Yeah, now he's factory Honda. But I was just growing up around motocross bikes. I didn't want to be, if I was going dirt track, and that's why I wanted to see if my brother wanted to get into vintage, because I didn't want to go take a dirt bike and turn it into something to go in circles. Like it just, to me, it just didn't make sense. And
Because you were
being-
looking at XR750s,
exactly,
like
and
lusting
I'm looking
after.
like stuff like that. And plus, from the fabrication side, I'm looking at like, you know, these guys are building their bikes. There's companies that build chassis. Like that's the stuff I'm fascinated by. Not someone bought a 450 and lowered it and goes in circles, but
Yeah, it's easy.
like to me that's.
There's
I mean,
a place.
it's probably
There's
really
a
hard, but
there's a place for it
Yeah,
for sure. But
exactly.
You're more in a custom
Yeah.
So
mindset.
let me finish the story then. How you went to Born Free, and then so just some
Yeah,
ass,
so
some ass
yeah,
story.
going-
Did you win?
No, I didn't. I don't know where I ended up, but
Who won that year?
That was JP Rodman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he built that crazy molded,
Yeah.
just
I mean,
JP stuff, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. That dude's out of hand.
Yeah. Super rad, though. It was a great experience to go out there. I'd never driven to California, so driving out to California in my van. Brought my BMX bike, too. Met up with Heath Pinter, went and rode Sheep Hills, which was like the super iconic BMX dirt jump area, which was super rad. And then, but yeah, going to Born Free, like Hunter Klee had a bike there that was his XB. It was a Buell XB dirt track bike, and that thing
remember
was
that.
so badass.
It was in Mama
man.
Tried.
Yeah, he was in Mama Tried. And I'm like looking at that.
It was
thing
on one
going,
of our
like,
posters. Probably in there
Was it?
somewhere. Yeah.
Really?
The one with the lightning bolt through the middle of it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, but I was like, this is sweet. And there was a couple other like dirt track bikes there, and like the
the
Suicide
Gardados
Machine dudes.
brothers?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Gardados had a bunch of cool stuff there. And so then I come back to Wisconsin after that. Great experience, Born Free, and then we go out and do the Trog show, and then I meet you guys there, and you guys invite me to Mama Tried, and then first Flat Out Friday, and then I go there, and the hooligan stuff's there, and I'm looking like, man, these guys are getting supported from Harley. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is a perfect opportunity to go and do like, I can get on a Harley Twin and go dirt tracking. I thought, like, that's where my head's at, and plus, like, you know, I've always doing the BMX stunt shows and stuff. It's always been more of like a punk rock attitude anyway. Everything I've always done has been like, you know, a sideshow act. So
That's right. You're the, yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. Is your
Division
stunt shows,
BMX.
and
Yeah,
Vision, and
yeah.
Micah, and
Yeah.
backflips, and
yeah, that's a whole nother deal.
When did you start doing that?
I started doing jump shows for Micah when I was 15. So I rode BMX my whole life, and then I did nice.
is that the one in the freezer?
Yeah.
Oh,
for
boy.
nowadays. All right.
So yeah, I rode BMX for Torque Center. You remember Torque Center?
hell yeah.
New Berlin?
Oh, yeah.
That place was the
Iconic.
coolest place.
Again, explain it.
Coolest.
Torque Center.
Yeah,
Explain-
Torque
explain
Center
why it
was,
what it was and why it was iconic.
It's iconic because, well, being here in the Midwest, you know, we never got, like, you see everything that's going on the coast, like California, like, oh, skateboarding, BMX, even mountain biking, gas-powered scooters. I know they had those in
Yeah.
there for a while, or whatever, motocross.
Snowboard,
And that was
motocross.
their slogan was the goodies from California. Like, so it was all the cool, rad stuff that you wanted from California. And they, like, my parents knew Mike Gaborski that owned it and stuff like that. And so when I got, like, pretty good at BMX, they wanted a freestyle. They used to have a freestyle BMX team, and then they like brought it back, and then they asked me to be on it, and I think I was like 14 at the time, and I was like,
That's
I was
cool.
probably like, you know, I don't want to talk like pump myself up, but I was pretty good for 14.
Right.
Like I guess that's how you say
You were
it.
in great shape.
Yeah, great shape. Yeah. Thanks, Brock.
Yeah, it's pretty self-evident you're good at shit,
Yeah,
JJ.
yeah.
You don't have to be modest. It's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
I know it's weird
Well,
talking about it, but
so hang on. I'm not. I want to finish that story about
Yeah.
how you got involved, but I got to go back just a little bit further.
Okay.
So you said I got good at BMX. Well,
Yeah.
how do you get good at BMX? Are you 10, 11?
Tell them what
I-
about the story that your mom having to take you over to trap and like get a. Didn't you have to do like a waiver or some shit?
Yeah.
It's like Mike Lang getting a waiver chop class.
Yeah,
to build his
yeah.
chopper. You had to
Yeah.
get a waiver.
So the crazy thing was, me and my brother just wanted to ride dirt bikes when we were growing up. Like dirt bikes were the coolest thing, and we were in West Dallas up until 2nd grade. So I was born in West Dallas,
Good
lived in West
people?
Dallas. Yeah, great people.
Salt of the earth.
Me and little Chris. maybe it's something in the water in
Sure.
West Dallas.
Yeah.
Dang it. Now it's all making sense now. I talk about it now. But we were always setting up ramps in the alley. Like, you know, the literally like cinder block, whatever, with the ramp. Like,
And you jump and you
We
do
would
the,
jump it.
and you just go straight. And
yeah,
you
just
do a kick
see how
in the
far.
air.
Yeah, see how
Flat
far you
bottom
can jump.
stuff, or you doing ramp to ramp?
No, just flats. As far as you can see,
Yeah.
how many people you can jump over.
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's exactly what it was.
Cross
Did
legs.
every boy do that?
I had to have.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I have another older brother and sister, which are my half older brother and sister. Great people. My older brother, he would always take us to, like, you know, when Arena Cross would come to town, we'd go to Arena Cross, and it was super cool. And he had a 3-wheeler, he had a 350X, so he'd come, you know, do wheelies up and down the alley on it. It was like, oh, like the coolest thing ever, you know?
Probably had a rad
Wheelies.
mullet and fucking high
Dude,
tops.
he did. He did. Surf style jacket, Oakleys, the whole 9.
Yeah.
You paint the picture.
That's so great.
I hope he listens to it. He'll laugh. But he did.
So that's where you cut your teeth, so to speak.
Yeah.
But influenced by your older brother, you were jumping ramps.
Yeah.
And then you started to do what, quarter pipes?
Yeah, so we just built these stupid ramps all the time, and then we moved to Waukesha. My parents got us out. We wanted property, so we moved to 10.5 acres in Waukesha. So now we were building dirt jumps, like, all the time, just building dirt jumps. And then, like, let's see, probably 1990, it was 98 or 99. This kid I went to school with, his name was Ben Valerius. I don't know what he was up to. He was the first kid I knew who had the internet. So,
Whoa.
yeah, crazy, right? We didn't have a computer or the internet.
Yeah, well, the one goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
That's why you're the last generation of
Thanks,
people
sir.
that were jumping in the alley, by the way.
exactly. That's probably a lot of truth. But he's like, I seen on the internet there's a skate park in Racine.
Whoa.
So I'm like, we gotta go, like bugging my mom. So she would take me down to Racine Skate Park, and it's right on the river, or right on Lake Michigan. And so that's how it's, yep. And that's where I met, like, Michael Laren and Danny Holbis and stuff like that, who, you know,
But they were on
X Games and-
skateboards or they were on bicycles?
BMX.
BMX,
yeah,
okay.
Yep. And
So were you running with the skateboards? You had a whole complete different park for.
no, it was with the skateboards and everything. But
Those
the
two different
dude,
scenes.
what's that?
Two different scenes, kind
Yeah, kind of. But the dudes that built Racine, Kuko Padilla and Brian Vall, are like hardcore BMX dudes. So it was like that place was like built for bikes. There's box jumps and lines, like quarter pipe hips and stuff like that. So until I went there, I'd never ridden like a quarter pipe or.
You were
I
just
guess,
doing flat ramps, like so.
yeah,
This was
just
your
long
first
dirt jumps.
enter
I would
into.
build.
Oh, so
a
you had
lip, yeah. So
you,
I,
you still
know,
had some experience.
Oh yeah. So I had some experience there. Like we were already jumping like big jumps. I had built some sketchy ramps in my yard and stuff like that. And, like I got some pretty cool pictures. Like even like West Dallas Alley Rat. I got a really cool picture of me. It's like I don't even know. I gotta be like I think about it now because I see kids who are like 6 years old and I'm like, I don't think kids can do this stuff that me and my brother were doing at 6 years old. It's so weird. Like, cause I was out of there in second grade, and this picture is a few years before second grade, so I don't know how old that makes you.
Well,
7?
Max is in third grade and he's 8. So
Yeah.
7.
So I was probably like 6 or 7 in this picture, and I'm on a 20-inch bike, and I have big freaking wide BMX bars, and I'm launching off this ramp, like crossed up with green Skyway mags and purple Comp 3 tires. Yeah, like just like crossed up off this ramp, and I'm on a 20-inch, and it's like, it's funny to look back on. I'm glad I have those pictures, because like that's another thing is like you look at, I don't know what it is, but most 6-year-olds aren't doing stuff like that. But that's just what me and my brother did, and we would just roam around West Dallas. Like I don't think kids are doing that either. Not anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like all over, go to the hobby shop and stuff like that.
So you set it up to how you got. So you cut your teeth again in the streets of West Dallas. You moved to Waukesha. You built some ramps. You started hanging out at the park Racine.
Yeah.
And then you got the attention or the notice of the Torque Center.
Yeah.
That's where I left off the linear
I
story.
want to hear the Chris Trapp story.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, but anyway,
Sorry.
So I'm building these jumps in my yard, and and there's this. We knew this girl that my brother and I had met. And she would come over and hang out because we were like younger. It wasn't like weird or anything, but it was just like we all just hung out because it wasn't like we lived in a neighborhood or anything. And she's like, oh, there's this guy, and she lives in a town over North Prairie. And he's like, there's this guy who's got dirt jumps in his yard. And I'm like, what? Like, no way. So I'm bugging my mom, like, you gotta take me over to this dude's house. He's got dirt jumps. You gotta take me there.
Your mom's like, who is he?
Yeah,
and
she
you're
had
like,
no
I don't know.
idea, right?
And of all people,
Yeah,
it's
that's a
fucking
great intro,
Chris
yeah,
Trapp.
I know, and it's like, it's such a freaking ridiculous thing too, and I don't know I don't know what my mom was thinking, but she takes me over there, and to set the scene here, he's got a 68 Cadillac with like 6-foot wide bull horns on the hood, like that's his daily driver, and then he's got a VW bus that says "hippies suck" on the back of it, 666.
He's the guy. He's that dude in the neighborhood. It's like,
Yeah.
don't fucking go over there.
Yeah, exactly. And then we go up to the door, knock on the door, and he answers the door.
So it's you and your mom.
It's
How
me
old
and my
are you?
mom, and I'm
How
like
old are you?
13 or 14, and I answer the door, and he's got cut off army pants, no shirt. Holding back 2 pit bulls like this, devil tattoo on his chest. Like, yeah. He's just like, just bring the kid by next Saturday. Like, that's just how he's like holding back 2 freaking big pit bulls. Yeah, it's cool. Bring the kid by. Like, all right. So fast forward.
What did your mom say when you got back in the car?
I don't know. She was just cool with it. Like, I'm thinking like, man, I looked over a fence. I'm like, he's got dirt jumps. Like, this is so cool. And then the next weekend.
Were they better than yours?
Oh yeah. I was just building like whatever I could in the yard. But he was familiar with our house because we had like a motocross track already by then, and it's only like probably 5 miles away. And so I went there the next weekend, and my mom like signed this piece of paper. It said like, oh yeah, he always claims that when my mom answered the door, she was like, this is my young son Joshua, and he's like, you were like JJ, like all snotty or something. It's JJ. That's what he always said.
He didn't put the moves on your mom? I feel like that would be a situation where
his words are, whenever he sees my old man, he's always like, yo, mom's still in the game, mom's still in the game. Like he always says that. It's like, shut up, crap. Yeah, it's too funny.
That's
but,
great.
Yeah, so we went there next weekend, and she dropped me off, and she wrote on a piece of paper. It was like, give my son Joshua Flairty permission to ride at Christopher Trapp's house at his own risk. Like that's it. And she signed it with a date, and Trapp found that piece of paper
Really?
like 2 years ago or something.
You frame that shit? You got it
I
up
should.
on the wall?
I should.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. So then, but at that time, I go into his house.
It's like a
and everything.
movie, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
And
an
his
80s
house-
movie.
Yeah, completely.
His house is crazy. Like, he's got no furniture, motorcycles in the house. He's got a soda machine inside there, and then he cut the back half of a Cadillac, and he had it set up in his living room as like a chair, like as like a couch.
Couch.
Yeah. So, And then I forget what the license plate. He had a license plate that said convict or something like that on it. But it was just like a bizarre thing. And he had like a trophy room.
What's Trap's background? Like, how old was he at this time? And like,
so he was probably 28.
is that his house?
Yeah, his house.
So what did he do? Like, how was he in that position?
He was just he's crazy. That's why. So he's just a real go-getter, like wide open. You know?
Yeah,
like,
I could
you
tell.
talk to him, he's just wide open all the time. So he was an auto mechanic at that time, but he had moved to Denver area. So he moved out to Denver and he was an auto mechanic and he built houses out there. And then when he moved back, he actually lived in his car when he was out in Denver. But he was like he was like a single A pro BMX racer. So like at his house when I went there, he's got like a trophy room and everything at that time. Now I don't know if he still does, but it was like everything that was, I think he moved everything in the basement now, but he had like all this big trophies and plaques and stuff. So it was like, man, this guy's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And then he had 2 drag bikes then, and he still has those. Those are really cool.
Really?
I keep telling him he needs to get them out. Yeah, like ZX10s, I think they are. Like
Right.
87.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like all about them, but he won't tell anyone.
Really?
Yeah, they're like
Dude.
super cool.
Damn, we should put him in the show.
He's got one that was like super crazy, and is that like nitrous and everything like that, and like it even has
street drag bikes.
yeah, and he had like he even had the frame raked on it, so like he remembered like back in the days, like in the back of a magazine, he's like, yeah, this place was doing frame mods, so I sent him the frame and they cut the neck and re-welded the neck on it to rake it out for drag stuff, and it's like a big bore with nitrous, and that thing was sitting in a corner, and so he had all this cool stuff, and then his other friends, Rick and Luke, so yeah, that pretty much turned into like our friendship forever. You know,
So you were over there every day.
Yeah, so I was over there all the time, like digging jumps and
Child labor.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I was at
Was
his
there
house.
other kids that were going there too that you met?
I would bring my friend. No, it was pretty much just me and my friend Adam at the time. So he's
So
another
it's
Waukesha BMX kid.
13-year-old kid hanging out with 25-year-olds. How did you not
28 probably.
How did you not turn into a shitbag?
I have no idea. I think
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
because, I mean, I've seen it all. Like, you know, just like
Yeah, like a druggy
people.
stoner.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, pretty much everybody goes down a path for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know how. I have no idea. My brother too. I don't know.
You got your mom and the old man are
Yeah.
solid.
Solid
Gave you a good
people.
base.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. We never really had like any like crazy rules.
Props
It
to
just-
mom and dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just more of a respect, I guess.
Sure.
than-
They gave you a rope to hang yourself with, and you never did.
Exactly. That was it. Like even growing up, I always joke like I don't know. We never got in trouble because we didn't have any rules to break.
Yeah.
So that was like
Yeah.
the
I
thing,
feel like
you know?
you're in a similar situation as my kid Max. Max
Yeah.
has the same similar demeanor and is gonna be like that. Like
It's good.
we just let him roll and kind of make his own decisions. A little
Mm-hmm.
bit more advanced, I think, than. But then there's Hammer and Hank, that little dude. He's gonna get Max in trouble.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
wild. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I can see that.
Is it?
happening.
Yeah. Maybe it's. I don't know. How are you growing up?
I was the older one, so it didn't matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
Your dad seems like a wild hare.
yeah, Senior has that in him, but fuck, man.
All right,
Your
well,
dad's
let's
awesome.
Seriously.
Well, the point is, we came, or you
Yeah.
came. We haven't begun to talk about this side of the table, but you
Right.
have come from solid parenting,
Yeah, it's good.
and you continue to be a solid parent. Can we transition right now? I think
Yeah.
you're going to be a parent.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, I am.
And,
So
and can before we even get into that, you're married?
no,
Oh no, okay,
No.
all right. Well, the question is that
Traditional Wisconsin.
you're going to have a baby, but you're not married. But so, whose insurance are you on? Yours or Dave's?
Hey, that's funny. That's a great bit. That's a good bit.
I had that written down.
Did you? That's what's in the Bible of Proc.
I had that written down.
Wow. The one-liners are just. He's cracking himself up so hard.
I gotta laugh at my own joke. Is that okay? Is that...
What are you doing? Taking
No
a
judgment.
shot?
I am. I deserve a shot. I said a good joke.
Oh my god. Oh man.
Anybody watch the Hot Boxing podcast, Mike Tyson's podcast?
No, but that sounds awesome.
I've been doing a little research since we've been sitting down and doing this. You guys should check it out.
Yeah.
Hot Box. He's the host.
Hot Boxing, yeah.
Hot Boxing.
Hot Boxing, like
No G.
HOTBOXIN apostrophe.
That's right.
All right.
Hot Boxing.
Hot box.
Yes.
Okay.
And if
Isn't that when you fart under the covers?
no, it's when
There
you
is.
when you're sitting.
That's a Dutch oven.
That's a Dutch
Oh,
oven.
okay.
all
That's a
right.
Dutch oven. Hot boxing is when you
Oh, when you smoke weed
Yeah,
and
yes.
you in a small space.
very small space.
All right.
But like, you guys know anything about Tyson? Like, have you seen he has like a stand up or like a
Comedy routine?
it's like a combination of comedy / like talking about his life. Dude is
A bit.
witty
He's
as
a
fuck.
bit.
Really?
So smart, so put together. Very surprised because everybody makes him out to be a fucking
Sure.
nightmare.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, whoa, shit.
Nice.
And then watching his podcast is pretty cool, but
Wild.
makes me want to put a
Hot
big
boxing.
bag of mushrooms on the table and it's like Skittles.
Delay taping
Speaking
for
of
2
that-
hours.
Why do we got to delay? We
You-
can just
you
start
just-
early and
The
Just
funny
let
thing
it
about
play
that
out.
was, I talked to Micah today, because when Dave was working in North Prairie or whatever, I was like, I'll see what Micah's up to. Maybe he'll want to come out. But he was like on his way back from Florida or something. He's like, you should show up drunk, like hammered. He's like, you should do it. Just throw them off. They won't even
Micah.
expect it.
No,
Like,
we
and I was like, yeah, they wouldn't.
He's right.
So-
we would definitely not expect
he's
that.
like, I was like, but then I'd drive just wasted, like show up just wasted
Dude,
driving.
yeah, that
would throw 'em way
that
off.
shows your character, JJ.
Yeah,
that's why you made it this far. Just keep thinking like that because it's gonna take you places.
Show up drunk, he says.
Micah needs to be on the
Micah
podcast.
needs
Yes.
to be on the podcast.
Yes, he does. Yeah. He does.
I got a couple dangling participles that I want to sum up though on this before we meander. I got a couple dangling participles. Again, we were telling the story about how we went backwards because we were talking about how you got started
Yeah.
and then you got picked up by Torque Center. You have a bit of a history then of BMXing at a high level.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about
Still
that?
do, right? Like,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so like when I started riding for Torque Center, Micah had started working at Torque Center, and I had known who Micah was just through like this.
And who is Micah for those that don't know?
Micah, it's Micah Kranz. He owns Division BMX. At least he still owns Division BMX, but he was I guess he could be a pro BMX rider. He'll love that. And but he's been like a team manager and a stunt show organizer, coordinator, and announcer for like it's got to be almost 30 years now. Like since he was in middle school, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
how long when he worked for Torque Center did he have division?
Yes, yeah. So
Wow.
he already had division for maybe 4 or 5 years.
Sure.
prior
So he
to
was
that.
deep.
But
And wait a second. And was he like the Micah that we know and love now? Is
Oh,
he
yeah.
like that? Was he like that then?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Even,
Micah-
even in middle school?
yeah, oh yeah,
Same frame?
He is
yes, yeah,
Fuck yeah.
character.
yeah. He he was like a really good football player too. So he probably could have went down that route, like been like a legit football guy.
Really?
But he just loved BMX, and yeah, you'll have to get him on here so you can tell his whole deal. But
Yeah.
I think it must have been in middle school, but he started doing BMX shows with like other group of friends from like the West Bend area, and he like kind of decided that this was probably something he wanted the route that he wanted to go down when he was skipping school to do shows at schools, which is kind of funny, you know. Like,
Kids don't skip
crazy.
school.
Yeah, exactly.
Do stuff at other people's schools.
So he had the entrepreneur brain early.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember the first time I went and did a show with him. So yeah, he was working at Torque Center, and in Torque Center, I was riding for Torque Center, and he had a stunt team, and they're like, you should just do shows for Micah. And I think I did a show for Torque Center at a Kids R Us or something. Like Oshkosh or something like that. I went up there and did a show, but Micah wasn't there. Somebody else had ramps up there because Torque Center had a really big race team at the time, and I dabbled in the racing, but I was just like a freestyle dude. And so I went up there to do a show with the race team, and we did it. It was a Jeffries, so a spin-off of the Toys R Us or whatever.
Right.
That was a thing?
That was the giraffe.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, I
the
remember,
giraffe,
but,
the
like,
mascot for Toys R Us.
Toys R Us allowed that?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah, it was a clothing. It was
Yeah,
a clothing line.
It was a clothing.
Toys R Us clothing
Yeah,
line.
yeah, that's what it was. So
Okay.
it was pretty much a Toys R Us. So we did that, and that was with Adam. Adam also wrote, did shows at the beginning too, and
Adam who?
Adam Geraldson, and he is actually the family who owned the machine shop that I currently work at.
Sure.
So that's how that whole deal.
I met your boss, by the
Wow.
way.
Which one?
I don't know.
I bet it wasn't Mark, because they're both named Mark.
He was really great. He came up to the merch
Chances
booth at
are.
the when we
yeah.
were at the 100 and whatever Harley deal at the museum this year. He walked up and introduced
that was
himself.
Mark Johnson.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Pretty rad.
He helped me do some stuff on my panhead too.
Typical
Pan
Wisconsin
Oh yeah,
guy.
yeah, totally. Harley,
Yeah.
dad washed jeans.
Yep,
the whole
that's
nine.
him.
Yeah,
That's him.
yeah, yeah. He's hunting right now, so he wasn't here all week.
Oh,
But
right, sure,
I
right.
would see him every day. But yeah, and then the first time I did a show with Micah, we did one in the Torque Center parking lot, and like I think I was 15, but I could backflip, so that was like a big thing. And at the time,
Wow.
not a lot of people, like I think Mike would do shows and no one would do a backflip unless like Koji Kraft would show up, and
Who?
Koji Kraft.
Who is that?
He's a pro BMXer from Chicago area,
Okay.
like super legendary dude. He rode for Schwinn, rode for Hoffman, but yeah, he was like one of the first dudes doing double flips and stuff like that. He would do shows with Micah. See, because Micah got his ramp from a guy who did had a stunt team called Superhero Stunt Team, and he kind of got out of it and sold Micah the ramp, and then Micah started doing shows under Division, and then yeah, so until Adam, because Adam could backflip too. We went to Lake Owen Camp that was up north, and we learned backflips into a foam pit.
Foam
like,
pit? Yeah, I was going to
it
ask
was
how
like,
you figured it out.
Yeah,
How
I
long
had
did it
tried
take
them.
you?
Once I knew it, it was like 3 tries or something like that. It was pretty easy. I got it like I got
It's
it.
4.5 years.
You're just good at shit, right? Like it's
Yeah,
these things
that's
come
great.
natural.
What do you
Yeah.
say? We're over here rubbing sticks together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
3 tries.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it was with. I think I was just like hyper motivated on like BMX.
You have a different brain, man. It's like
Yeah.
it's okay.
So it was like I like it was like the first day I was at camp. I'm like doing backflips. You know, it was like that was like the joke back then. It was like it was the only place that had a foam pit, and so it was like they didn't want people doing backflips because that's what everyone wanted to do was backflips. You know, you go to a place where there's a foam pit, it's like I'm doing a backflip,
Yeah.
and then they get
With-
broke
without
off the
learning-
first day.
Yeah,
you
without
know,
learning the basics.
Then
Yeah.
the ambulance shows up.
exactly, and you're in the middle of nowhere in Cable, Wisconsin. That was part of the gymnastics camp thing too. It was a super cool place.
Right when the gymnastics folks leave, like, all right, hurry up, get the ramp over here.
Yeah.
Line it up, get it up before they say no.
No, they just gave you all the hand-me-downs because I think they got new foam every year, and then
You had the stuff that
Yeah, it
when
was
you
all the
landed in,
sweaty
it,
stuff,
like,
yeah.
got in your ears and your mouth.
it just smelled real bad. yeah, and yeah, so I went up there, learned backflips, and I think I was 14 then. I think it was the same year. So I came back, but you know, you learn them to the top of the deck, so you're like doing fast backflips. But I wanted to learn it over because there's a bunch of dudes who could just like do flips, like fly out flips.
Quick ones. You land
Yeah.
basically still. You're not
Yeah.
moving or rolling
Yeah,
afterwards.
I wanted to like, you know, go over jumps.
Yeah,
I
like
wanted
long
to,
ones.
Yeah, I want to do like something like by the end of the week I'm flipping that box jump. Like I'm gonna do it. So I did it like the second day. That was like I just had to do it so many times. I would just go and then I still
How many
like the
times
whole,
did you do it into the foam pit and you're like, fuck it, I can do this on the box?
Maybe a handful of times. It was funny because I have it on film somewhere, but my first backflip to like the top of a jump, like fly out to a box jump was, I kind of under rotated, so I was like it took the bars to the chest. But that's because the foam pit you drop down so much.
Yeah.
So I just didn't rotate fast enough, and I just didn't think about that. So I did that, and second time it was fine. and then I just started trying to go farther
Yeah,
and farther.
the harder one is the distance. Like,
Yeah.
like that's a thing where you have to,
Yeah.
you really have to be, you fuck that one up, it's gonna hurt
Yeah.
a lot more.
Like I haven't really underwrote like Micah's mega ramp, mini ramp thing, mini mega ramp thing that he had. They set that up at the Harley Museum that one day, and I had never ridden that one till that day, and that's like a 30 or 25 foot, 30 foot gap or something, and I almost under rotated that one. I was like,
You ride a wheelie into it.
yeah, like nose wheelie out of it.
Just this past year, you were at that show?
This past summer, I was gonna do one at a Walmart for a Nitro Circus thing,
Okay.
but that I did a couple jumps and then it started to downpour, so it canceled. And that was the only
So
Wisconsin
you still
one.
feel like you're in like prime shape?
I feel like I could still do all the tricks I would normally do
Yeah.
at a show.
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
Tell me
But-
about the job, a little bit more about the job. Were you making money at this at 14, 15? Were you are you living in hotels and
That's
is there money in the bank?
That's another thing too. Like, I think about it now because when I was in high school, like all the football players got all the praise. It's just a weird dynamic because like the high school football players, they got they were like the athletes,
Sure.
and like I was like modest about it, but I like didn't go around being like. I mean, technically, I guess I was a professional BMX bike rider. I was
Mhm.
getting paid to ride my bike, and I was literally traveling the country all summer. And I was, 16 years
Was
old
there
or
a
whatever.
rub?
What?
Was there a rub?
A rub?
Yeah, like a wall of football players. And you-
Yeah,
they
kinda.
were- They're
Yeah, kinda. But I think that was more because I was like more of like a like a redneck kid or something. I wasn't like a
Yeah, but
preppy
Because
jock.
you don't strike me as somebody that was going to be real aggressive about claiming that you did all this
No.
shit, right? Like you were.
No. I think people knew I rode bikes, so that was probably as far as it went.
Sure.
But let me again specific. Were you making money? Was there money in the bank? Was this a lifestyle?
Yeah, but I've always worked too. So like I was working at that same machine shop, and I was like deburring gears and running a hone and stuff like that, and painting. Like we had this winch department. I paint winches and like assemble winch shafts and stuff like that. So, excuse me.
Bless
But I
you.
would go. Bless you. I would go like
good heavens.
all summer. I would work 8 till noon, just 4 hours in the morning, and I'd go ride my bike. But yeah, when I would do shows for Micah, I would get paid. And so like when we would do like the bigger tours and stuff, they would pay. Like if we were going somewhere, it was paying like all right. And any money you were making riding your bike was like
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. At 16,
Yeah,
17,
like, yeah.
I can only
Yeah, yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, and
Eating at
then
Burger King every day,
Yeah.
sleeping in Motel 8s. You're like,
and it was pretty crazy. And like that's the thing too. And I think about it now, like going back to like even when I was 6, and I think about what 6-year-olds do. When I see kids that are 16, I don't think they're driving to
No.
Little Rock, Arkansas to do a BMX show.
and
Like,
it's cool that your
it's-
parents were like cool with that.
Yeah, they're
It's-
totally cool with it.
Yeah.
Like never asked anything.
Sure, but you were a good kid. Again, they gave
Yeah.
you a rope you could have hung yourself.
Yeah,
with.
exactly. Yeah.
You could have ended up like Jay Adams
Yeah.
to bring it full
Totally.
circle.
And Michael
Right.
was a good chaperone, like a good like
Yeah,
team
you know.
dad.
yeah.
I mean,
He never got. He's professional when he needs to be,
right.
but he's Micah and he
Yeah.
does Micah things. So,
Yeah.
but I never.
That's why we like Micah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, JJ,
Yeah.
you had mentioned we brought up a theme, and I like to kind of go on themes. And Scott, correct me if I'm wrong or out of line with this theme. We talked about you being an agitator in high school, and I'm making a bold statement. I think you've been an agitator in the hooligan movement, if you will.
Who was an agitator in high school? JJ?
No.
Yeah, yeah, you're a little bit of a quiet agitator, and you're much appreciated.
Yeah.
Being a teacher, I try to encourage agitation. That the nail that kind of stands up and won't get hammered down. I appreciate. You triage that to whether they're being assholes or if they're actually pushing a culture or pushing an idea. And I think in the hooligan movement, you pushed some ideas. Is this making sense so far? Or am I going off? Am I being a
yeah.
little weird?
No,
Great,
I
great.
get it.
And you and I had a little philosophical rub, if you will,
Yeah.
where I thought that hooligan should be a little more. The rules should be a little more staunch, and you're like, hey, wait a minute, I have these. I can change the rake. I can change my foot position, and I can go faster with these improvements.
Yeah.
Let me pause. Why don't you comment on that?
Well, going back to me seeing your the first flat out, And I'm looking at it like this class is like made for me. You know, like I can take this street bike and try to make it good, you know, make it a better machine going in circles. But I'm looking at these dudes that, you know, are getting hooked up from Harley, getting these like, you know, getting like money to do it. And I'm like, I think I could beat these guys. I think I could beat these guys. And, you know, I was already a machinist at the time, and I read the rules, and I'm like, you know, you can.
It doesn't say anything about changing the rake.
You could. Well, it does, but you're just not allowed to cut. You know, it just they left it open ended with just, you know, everything has to be a bolt-on modification. Mm-hmm. So that's where like I was like, well, I'm just gonna build this bike and I'm gonna be there next year is what my plan was. So I bought that Sportster, same Sportster I have now, for $1,250, and my goal was to have it for next Flat Out Friday, and I did that. So I went to my first ever circle track race was Flat Out Friday.
Your first ever dirt track
No
race?
way,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. So I had never done any. Yeah, I tell people all the time. Like I had never done other than I had only raced motocross like 5 times. My brother did all the racing.
Mm-hmm.
I rode a lot, but I never like raced. I just wanted to ride, and that's kind of how it always like. It's going back to the BMX thing, freestyle, and you know I want to do it all, but I just didn't want to have any rules. You know, like, that's just so. But you know, there was always like there's that punk rock side of the, you know, freestyle element in the hooligan thing. So I was like, this is sweet. So I build that bike, do Flat Out, but I got the bike done like the night before or something, and suspension was terrible. It's bottoming out in the turns.
It's like,
Yeah, like it was pretty brutal. So I'm like, well, at least I knew. So I fixed up the suspension, and then I went to Flat Out Fargo. Fargo, the dudes run that. That race was cool. It was in that horse arena. First ever dirt track race, and I ended up winning that one.
Yeah.
Because I took what I screwed up the first time around and just fixed it all, and then the bike was like way better.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that is when the X Games thing came up.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, that worked.
You guys know about this?
Yeah, you know. So I had done 2 races, and Proc, I think, you know, you're gonna call the people that do your races, obviously.
That was
and
Boise or Minneapolis? Which was the first one?
Minneapolis, and that was like the invite deal.
It was at the Mall of America.
Yeah.
And they had asked the dump. They got this
Yeah.
dirt. It was a very impressive track that they built.
I thought it was
objectively,
awesome.
whether it was
Yeah.
bumpy or not or whatever.
Yeah.
They built a 1/3 mile
Yeah.
in the parking lot.
in a parking lot with
good.
bleachers and you crushed it.
Yeah, there was. So Proc calls me and he's like, "Hey, this is Jeremy." You know. I was like, "All right." He's like,
Hi, my name is Jeremy.
Yeah. Any interest in doing the X Games? And I'm like, yeah. Duh. He's like, well, you got to get sponsored by. You have to get hooked up by a dealership.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, through like the Boonie Bike stuff, Jeff Rydell he was from Ukes. I just called him right away, and he also got a call from you to do it. And so I got the Ukes deal. So I had, you know, the Ukes number plates, and we go up there, and you know, this is way faster than ever. And then Wes Orloff reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, I'd like to build the engine in your bike." And I'm like, for what? Like, you know? He's like, "I just like your bike," and he's just kind of like, "I like your style and like just the way I built the bike and stuff." I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll put it." He's like, "You need more power. It's bone stock 883." So I take it to his house, and I told him like, "Oh, I want to do."
Wes should be on the podcast.
You should. Yeah.
What was
Sorry,
that?
He's
Wes
making
should
mental
be
notes.
on
Don't worry about
yeah.
him. Don't worry about him.
Wes should be, yeah. But he hits me up randomly. Never talked to him before, ever. And I'm like, kind of like, who is this guy, you know? And I'm like, oh, he works for Harley. He must not, you know, he must know something, you know? And so I take the bike to his house, and he has it for like a couple weeks, and like it's coming quick. But in that time, I had lifted the bike, put redid the suspension again, and then I did that swing arm pivot relocator, and I had made that. So I'm like waiting for the bike to get back. I'm like, I need to try to make this work. And Wes builds me this engine, and I like go ride it at his house down the road, and I'm like, this thing is like quadruple how fast it was before. Like it was like what did you do to this thing, you know? And it now, like, knowing it, like, it really isn't that crazy, but from a worn out 883 to what it was, and like the torque curve on it was like, it was insane. And so then you call me about the I'd never ridden this bike other than the street, and I've never ridden on a dirt track that big. And we show up at X Games, and I make Wes go with me as my team guy, which was awesome. And we go out there, and I think we had practice like 2 days, didn't we? Like the day before, and then the next day we did a morning practice.
Yeah, because rolling, I mean, like, it's a little understated. Like, rolling up there with Wes Orloff is a thing.
Yeah,
right.
And
that's
now it really
pretty
is,
understated,
you know?
right?
Yeah.
Like that's a
Yeah.
great match made in heaven.
Yeah. Wes was over last night too, so another great friendship built, from that. But we roll up there, and I'm like going out, and I'm like, I'm having like the time of my life out there. And then I come back in, and this is also the time when I kind of met Dave Kilkenny, because we had done the Boonie Bike Beat Off stuff before, and I don't even know.
At Jesse's house?
At Jesse's house. That's where I met Dave, was at the Boonie Bike Beat Off. And he would ask Dave to do it too, so he's like looking for a bike, and I had been kind of talking to Dave, and we kind of hit it off. And so now I'm really like twisting Dave's ear on the dirt track stuff, because I don't know anything. And Jack Canes had got us in at Aslan for like a pre thing. So that's one thing I forgot. So we went to Aslan, and it was funny because they had to ask the board.
Yeah,
we weren't members and
I
all
know
this
it,
stuff.
I know the checks vary by the rules.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of cool because my friend Carter Bussey, who he's a motocross dude, works at Aslan obviously, and he was one of the dudes who got me on the Torque Center BMX team, because he raced with my brother and blah blah blah. So that whole line. So as soon as he found out somebody else was doing this, and he calls me, he's like, "Tell me you're one of the guys riding at Aslan." And I'm like, "It is." He's like, "Okay, good." Because he's like, "I would have got you in there." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, Carter. Thanks for having my back," But we go out there, and that was literally the first time that I rode like a real dirt track. Was that one day, a couple days before we went to Mall of America. And then we get off the track, and Dave's like, "Dude, you got an 8 tire on here." And I'm just like, I don't know, some dumpster tires DeRuyter had is what I got, I don't know what tires are and compounds and stuff. So Dave's like, "I got this other tire we'll throw on there." So that's where we went up with Jack. We stayed at Tim Zamanovic's house in Minneapolis, and that's when I met Slow too, because Slow was staying there, and I think he came up with Dave and stuff. Well, he was there with Carver, because remember they ran the pros too.
Oh, that's right.
So we were all there, and so we were spooning on a tire, and they're talking about gearing and stuff. And it just so happened that I get up there and we do like the practice, and I'm like, "Man, the gearing's great. It feels fine." And I just hear people complaining about the track everywhere. They're like, "It's a piece of shit. It's rough." And I'm just like, "Come from motocross, dude. It's great out there. I don't know what these guys are talking about. It's smooth as glass out there. What are you guys talking about? Just going around in circles,
Right, you have a partial motocross suspension set up with fucking slippery tires, so you're like running a cushion on a fucking...
Yeah, I was good, but the next day we did that. I'm just out there watching Terry, because Terry was on another level. Like, if he didn't blow up 2 other bikes before the final or whatever, he I mean, the things might have been off a little bit, but dude, yeah. But so I go up there, and I went by the fence because I'm like, I'm gonna watch what Terry's doing, and so I watch him go around there. I'm like, okay, that's what I need to do. So we go out for like the last practice session, and I remember you came by. They wouldn't print. Remember, they wouldn't print the times.
It was my idea to not print the
Yeah,
times.
but
Because
I remember
I was exposing I was exposing that many of the Harley people weren't actually very good riders.
Yeah.
So I was advocating for Harley, like, let's not let this get out.
Yeah.
Your Harley riders are the bottom 5.
Yeah.
Let's not
Yeah,
let anybody
and-
know this.
But yeah, we go.
Because Wisconsin's crushing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty visible.
That's an exaggeration, but you know, that's really what I was thinking.
Yeah, but like Benny Carlson was out there, and I'm thinking like, going into it, I know who Benny Carlson is because he was a factory Red Bull KTM whatever. He's gonna be fast. So,
But what did I say to you? What did I?
Yeah,
what did I
you
say?
so you came over by Dave, and you're like. Said something like, I'm not supposed to say anything, but pretty sure I saw a 101 at the top of the list. And I was like, what? I was like, I felt like I was going pretty good, but you pretty much told me that I was fastest one out there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, damn, like this is my second time on a dirt track. I thought, Benny Carlson's out there. I'm watching
You're pretty
Terry.
good. You're pretty good at shit, right, JJ?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's another blessing and a curse because then it's the too stoked for conditions, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's all or nothing, man.
Yeah, that's just it. It's
Well,
all or
so
nothing.
you went on and you won the X Games.
Yeah,
and, and why it was special, and I'm summarizing, and then I want you to fill in the blanks because you had this X Games background.
Yeah.
And many of your crew that had grown up with you were also X Games
Yeah.
BMXers.
Yeah, so there was definitely a point where I had reached a point in like my BMX career that like I probably could have maybe made my way into the X Games.
Bold statement.
Yeah, maybe, but it was like I wasn't doing like all the crazy flips, but I could do it. I could do it.
Yeah, your generic crazy flip.
Yeah, yeah, I could do the generic crazy flips, not the crazy flips. But a lot of my friends growing up, like Michael Laren and stuff, he is in the X Games now, and that's one of the kids I met at Racine Skate Park, and so it was like Mike was there as an announcer. He was announcing the X Games, and so all those dudes are coming over after they're done. They're coming to see what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that was the joke. Is like I'm in like the Milwaukee BMX log, and they're all like, "JJ win yet? JJ?" Like that's like the joke, and I'm like, "You guys are ridiculous." And then I actually do go out and win. And they're like, oh, if you look at the live feed, it's all like, yeah, I knew it. Didn't even need to watch. All my friends are commenting on it. And I was like, these guys are ridiculous,
Because you're good at shit, JJ.
Yeah. So
And
that
Dave
was,
got second.
but that's another thing, too, is then you reached out and you're like, hey, I'll buy you some leathers. And I like found the eBay with white leathers, and we had the fuel put on it.
I know.
And that was cool because you're like, yeah, I want to sponsor you and Dave for the race. And then we end up going 1-2.
1 and
like,
2.
It's pretty magic.
It like couldn't.
You
couldn't even write.
Yeah, you
It's
can't
like,
make that shit up.
No, it was too good.
Warren keeps blowing smoke up your chimney about how great you are. However, you did coin the phrase, and when we're summarizing here, this is the last thing we got time for. We've got another crew in here. We've got another
So
interview to do.
Yeah.
We got the same
Sorry.
thing to get ready for. The term "too stoked for conditions."
Yeah.
That to me was coined when we were at the next X Games at the Minneapolis Arena in Minneapolis, and you clearly set fast time. It was on the screen.
Yep.
JJ's fast time by a second.
Yeah, it was
In a
good.
heat race, last lap, and you blow it.
Like a straightaway lead. All I had to do was win that race. I was fast time in qualifying. Had a straightaway lead in my heat race. All I had to do was win one more race. And then I blew it. Too
That's
stoked
the
for
thing, though,
conditions.
right? Like you either win or you fuck it up.
Yeah.
Educate
And that's
us.
happened a few times.
Can we get? We're gonna make a shirt. Too stoked for conditions.
Too stoked for
Oh, you
conditions.
got
yeah,
it.
for sure.
Can we?
My buddy Tim, I think, made up that.
Okay, that's.
version.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's what I thought. Well, I don't
Can
know.
we're TMing it right now.
Yeah.
Write that down. Proc Bible.
But I think that's also something that's really great about flat track racing because it's not always. It's like on any given night, it's somebody's night. Right?
Yeah.
It's not
Oh,
like
yeah.
the same people dominating.
And that's the
every-
thing is like Dave he's a builder. He builds throughout the day, throughout the night, and I'm like, second lap, I already know how fast I'm gonna be able to go all day.
You're a
That's-
descender.
Yeah, exactly. Dave builds, I descend. That's how it is. Perfect.
You know your spot,
Yep.
right? Like,
Yep.
Great.
That's how it goes.
Yep, it is.
Well, thanks.
Personal user.
Thanks for being on our podcast. I wish you and Dave the best with your child
Yeah, thank you.
and your future together. So thanks for taking time to tell us.
Yeah.
JJ, you're a great conversationalist.
Thanks.
You tell a great story.
Great story.
Yeah,
There's many things that have gone untapped here about your life.
Yeah, I've never really. I don't think I've ever talked about, and no one's ever asked. So, like, I never really talked about it.
You're an interesting dude.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, it's great having you on. It's great to hear the stories.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for starting Mama Tried and Flat Out Friday. Scott for sponsoring me. It's great.
Yeah.
Warren for selling you your hubs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the full circle
Yeah.
here?
On a rad panhead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job.
Good.
Warren, what were you saying? Say it
Like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell thing. I think
Tell your
that's all of them.
friends.
Tell your friends. Spread the word.
Yeah.
We need some love in the Midwest.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the love.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, JJ.
All right. Thanks, JJ.
Thank you.